Welcome to the Marshall Pruitt Podcast and your Weekend IndyCar listener Q&A. After a weekend off, we are getting ready for some more action here. Coming up, the Honda Indy 200 at good old Mid-Ohio, home state for Honda's main manufacturing plant in the U.S. What can I tell you? Boy, it was indeed awesome to have last weekend off. Celebrated my wife Chabrelle's birthday. Got some things going on at home that's going to make going out to Mid-Ohio a non-starter. So good stuff. Nothing to be worried about. But I am needed more at home this week than I am out in good old Mansfield, Ohio. So be covering that remotely, provided everything goes well through the end of this week. Indeed, we'll be flying out for a doubleheader at Iowa Speedway. The Sioux Cup races there, new sponsor. So yeah, and then boy, we're jamming for the rest of the season. So gonna say a very huge thanks to y'all for the questions you send in. We are at 1,621 episodes I think this will be. So our 10th anniversary is good old fun. Big thanks as well to our friend Jerry Sudduth, who grabs all your questions and puts them together for us, and to our show partners at the Justice Brothers. Please check out justicebrothers.com. Learn more about their 80 years involved in motor racing, all centered around the automotive chemicals, lubricants, and cleaners that they produce and supply directly to dealerships. Then also our good friends at torontomotorsports.com. Makers, sellers of just all kinds of fun, modern racing memorabilia. They're also the official merch agent for the FAF, the Plaid IMSA championship winning team there. But all the latest, newest stuff, stickers, t-shirts, hats, books, models. If you're a big fan of IndyCar, sports car, F1, modern era, they have a bunch of really great stuff. So please pay them a visit and support them at torontomotorsports.com. And then the last thing I'll mention here quickly, which it felt so good to get some of this done over the weekend. Was able to get something like 50 new items up into the PruittStore.com. I think about 20-ish, 22, 3, 4, or something like that are live. And the others are sitting there waiting for me to add photos and get pushed live. But yeah, nonetheless, after a long time of wanting to and failing, did indeed add some new things there on the good old thepruittstore.com to go along with the DJ Willie P Double Birds trading cards, which are starting to reduce and dwindle down in stock. So you might pay a little visit there and see if there's something you want to take home. With all that said, why don't we go ahead and get the show rolling? Kicking things off here with Dave Morrison and Lala Ortiz. You asked the same thing. Now the owner of the Thermal Club has said not going to be on the schedule next year, and there's rumors of Laguna and Portland possibly losing dates. Any solid candidates to replace all of them? So let's do a little bit of math here, because, hey, who doesn't love opening a podcast with math? We got 17 championship rounds this year. There were 17 last year. 17's been the number for a while. It's what teams are locked into, sponsors are locked into. Everything works right around 17. Penske Entertainment CEO Mark Miles told others, 17 to 18's the number they're looking at here for next year. Cool. Love that. Well, so if we look at the 17 we have right now, we know going forward, subtract thermal, so we're down to 16. We're adding in, though, brand new event, the Grand Prix of Arlington, so we're back up to 17. Means there's space for one more. Second question here from our friend Ken Anderson gets into Mexico. Delve into that separately, but if we're just looking at what the 2026 calendar can be, we know it's at 17 right now. If we carry over the 16 we expect to move forward and add in the new replacing thermal, numerically at least, visit to Arlington, Texas. Got it. Heard the same about Portland. It's been seemingly a yearly concern that it's going away. Heard similar about Monterey, but mentioned here in the show and mentioned before, the county, Monterey County, has been good with paying that $1.5 million sanction fee to IndyCar. It's their second biggest event of the year that comes in after the mid-August Rolex Monterey Motorsports Reunion historic event. After the reunion and after IndyCar, not a lot else brings in too many folks. So I'd be surprised to see that go away. Plus, ask teams, ask manufacturers, ask sponsors. They love going to Monterey. I don't think that'll ever change. So it'd be a real surprise for that to fall off the calendar. If there were to be one that was sacrificed that nobody would complain about, maybe other than me, it's Portland. It's also, just in terms of complication, part of the Green Savary Race Promotions package that is a pretty significant part, about 25-ish% of the IndyCar calendar. Green Savary puts on St. Petersburg, Mid-Ohio coming up this weekend, obviously, Toronto and Portland. If it makes sense financially for both sides, I'm sure it could continue. But there's Mexico that I have been told for a while is more or less done. Can't say if that's factually accurate because it's yet to be confirmed, but I continue to have folks tell me, be ready to go. Don't book your travel yet, but just be ready to go. Okay, cool. If that's the case, that could be the 18th race, or if one of the two you've mentioned, or maybe another one, Dave, were to come off the schedule, it could come down to 17. What I wouldn't expect to see is multiple events lost, coming down to something like 15 events or 16. I can't think of any others outside of Mexico that could be truly ready to come in as a brand new, in the pipeline, ready to go, 2026, let's have an IndyCar race. Denver is one that we hear about. When I checked in on that last few weeks ago, was told still in the hopper, but that's going to take longer. If it were to happen, it's not a 2026 thing by any means. So, look, could a stopgap thing at name an oval somewhere or another track come into view? Again, anything is possible. I just haven't heard of, like, hey, we're going to stop going to this familiar place that's been on the calendar for a while and go to some other place that is considered a significant upgrade. That I don't know of, beyond, again, what we've heard about Mexico being possible. But, yeah. Let's get into Ken's question here, because it gets into thermal a little bit more and then Mexico. Says, given that Tim Rogers, founder of Thermal Club, was not obligated to create that thermal video, considering his reference to 2027, it seems possible we have not witnessed the final iteration of the event. He said discussions have also included the reconfiguration and addition of seating. Says, I have two inquiries. Firstly, do you envision a future return, perhaps as a spring training venue, or for another points race? Stick with this for just a sec. To me, the major question here, Ken, is not so much IndyCar specific as it is thermal specific. What do they want to become? Because in order to stay in the IndyCar world and maybe add some other professional motor races there, they need to transform themselves from being a mostly hidden, unknown, super private, super quiet country club style track. It is way off the beaten path. For those who haven't been there, yes, it's within the Coachella Valley. We know of Coachella because of the huge annual music festival. It's half-hourish drive from Palm Springs, which again fairly well known. But if you were driving by on the 2-lane highway, or you were just anywhere in the vicinity, you would never find the Thermal Club. It is buried well far out of any normal path that folks would travel. It's, again, way off the beaten path. And I think that's a big part of the allure for the folks who are members. And they spend a lot of money to be there and a lot of money to have that privacy and exclusivity. Realize that Tim Rogers, owner, founder, and such, and he obviously has huge influence on what thermal is and might become. But I would just say, for thermal to become what it sounds like IndyCar wants, it would need to stop being that highly private, exclusive, no one knows we're here type venue, and change itself radically to have huge infrastructure meant to hold 10, 15,000 people, if not more, big grandstands, big weekends, open themselves up in ways that, even for what they did this year, I've been there for every spring training, everything that they've done related to IndyCar. And while I think they did a very good job of adapting to this brand new concept to them of allowing people in who aren't members and aren't guests, but just the general public who bought tickets and who can roam seemingly anywhere. That's one thing. When you've got maybe 3,000-ish people over 3 days. I don't know if there was more than 1,000 to 1,500 people there at any one point in time this past event. So just saying, limited number of grandstands, limited number of things that you need to do when you are not welcoming in very many folks. When you are going 10x that number, it's not just the amount of human beings, it's the, well, then that's 10x terms of cars, where all those things get parked. I can tell you, having had our 5 to 10 minute from the portion of the paddock, at least I needed to get to, parking space, go away overnight, and then get turned into, and it's going to be way over here, and it became a 22-minute walk for myself and all of the teams as well. And they did have some not super scheduled shuttles, total, like, kind of confusing stuff, but I enjoyed the walk. Don't get me wrong. That's something I do more and more of every day. Walks, fitness, health, etc. So I'm all good with that. But that's a long walk for fans as well. And there's super limited places for folks to park as it is. So doing 10x that number, again, I'd hope there'd be all kinds of shuttles and convenience and infrastructure built in. But just coming back to the central point here, Ken, the place was never designed to be this major motor racing event holding facility. It could be, if they wanted to invest a lot of money, hire a pretty significant amount of people, and install tons of everything. And hey, you're going to put a bunch of fans out here. Cool. Well, they're going to need shade. They're going to need liquid and food. And so you need concession sales, and you need bathrooms, and you need electricity. And does the very private, nobody knows we're here and that's the way we like it facility want to become a, hey, look at us, everybody, we are now a motor racing circuit that also has some private residences? I don't know what kind of power the members have, but I do wonder if they'd want to give all that up for the hope of hosting IndyCar for one weekend a year. And you know, how many other series do you have that might go there? NASCAR going to go there? I mean, to be honest, that'd be the best thing they could do. for the track if they could get NASCAR to come there. That'd bring a pretty strong audience. IMSA, I don't know. They have pretty much the best calendar with the best tracks. I don't know if that would make a lot of sense unless they were being paid an outrageous sum to go there. How about SRO and their GT-based series? Very possible, but they draw almost no fans. That's not a series, really, one that has a business model built around high ticket sales. More of a, we race for ourselves and our small business owners who are involved in the series. So they don't have a drag strip, so the NHRA isn't an option. I'm just starting to run out of series that could run there. So if you're going to do this huge transformation, unless you're going to have NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One ain't going there. Formula One's got 3 pretty awesome tracks. It just seems like a giant effort and potentially a giant expenditure for very questionable returns. One that may indeed just piss off the members more than it would be worth. So to me, Ken, this is probably way more about thermal than anyone gives a fart about, but enjoy the place. People who run it, very spirited and appreciate all they've tried to do to help IndyCar. Could see it being a place for spring training. It's been that before. Hasn't necessarily delivered a lot of value for teams. Maybe a different track configuration would do that, but does Thermal want to change its identity and spend a lot of money just to hold an IndyCar race? That still might not draw anything like the amount of fans that they would hope they would get, even at normal ticket prices. $50 GA, $100, 150 3-day GA, whatever. I'm sure there'd be more people that showed up, but I still struggle to think of 10 to 15,000 showing up in the Coachella Valley to watch an IndyCar race, especially when you have the Long Beach Grand Prix and Monterey in state as it is. Ken also asks, is Mexico a certainty, or might the series have alternative plans? If not, it appears the same significant gap currently present will persist into 2026. As I think I know, Ken, if Mexico were to happen, it would fall into a thermal-ish time slot, maybe, or calendar slot. Something in that range is what I have heard rumor of. Matty McDonald and Austin Merrill have asked, is Toyota signing on as a foundational partner of the Grand Prix of Arlington a sign that they're close to becoming, or considering becoming, or thinking about maybe pondering, possibly cogitating on the prospect of becoming an engine supplier? Yes, of course. That is what it always means, right? Instead of just announcing they're going to be an engine partner, the way you do that is signing on as an event partner, because as we all know, that's the official way to signal it's happening. Kidding aside, Toyota's U.S. headquarters are based not too crazy super far away in Plano, Texas, so this is their home state. We know Roger Penske, owner of the series, is also, I believe, still holding the distinction of being the world's largest Toyota dealer through Penske Corporation and his automotive dealerships. Don't let those things go unrecognized. Now, back to the underlying question. Rumor, there might be another race Toyota could be sponsoring next year. Heard rumor of it, that there could be another one. Don't know if it's true. I still need to do a little bit of poking around to find out if there's anything there. We will have to see if that becomes more than just one event foundational partnership at Arlington and possibly event sponsorship of another, if that's where it ends. But yes, to your point, as we all know, the way you signal it's happening is to sponsor an event. Shauna Oakwood, AMP, we're about to wish the hybrid happy first birthday. Yes, good old Harry the hybrid. How would you assess it at this point? Do you feel teams are utilizing the tools well? Is it to blame for the Palou dominance with the side of Kirkwood? Is it more of a win or still a loss? Now we have almost 20 races with it. Great question, Shauna. Thank you for asking that. At the bigger road courses, where there's not a lot of slow and super medium speed corners where the cars have to be super agile. Well, I know we don't have a lot of those. Road America might be the one, but not really something that had a crazy negative effect on the quality of racing. On the shorter and or slower-ish tracks, street courses in particular, we've seen the weight from the energy recovery system be a significant limitation. It's just something where drivers are pushing as much as they can, but the cars just won't tolerate being driven beyond 100% like we used to see pre-hybrid. So, yeah, teams for sure are getting the most out of them. I think most teams would tell you, sure, of course, they continue to learn and find more optimization, but they came out of 2024 pretty smart about these things, then had a full off season. Their manufacturers in particular doing all kinds of simulator work, simulation work, and yeah, teams are pretty darn smart about hybridization here coming into 2025. The one track where big knowledge needed to be gained was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that was a bit of a unicorn in terms of learning about the hybrid, but I feel like folks came out of the 500 with, again, pretty big knowledge base. So altogether, yeah, teams are getting just about all there is to get, I would say. It's going to ruin the racing because there's going to be constant failures and so on. Been a lot of exaggeration there. Usually it's folks who just hate the thing, and I get it. If you don't like something, you want it, and well, if you like something and there's been something added to it that you don't care for, you just want that thing to go away. I get it. Hasn't been a case though where the hybrids were all smoldering and breaking down and ruining the Indy 500. Didn't happen. I believe we had 100% reliability rate there. Been some other events where certainly there's been hybrid issues, but not systemic. So I think that's a positive. But I also have to look at the fact that a lot of races to start the season where drivers are pushing as hard as they can without losing control of the vehicles, without destroying their tires, and just were not able to make much of an improvement on each other and do very much passing. So we had the, 4 or 5 cautions at Road America, multiple strategies that came out of those multiple cautions, which gave folks at the back a chance to do something different. And then front, like we had a lot of things going on. Road America was the perfect hybrid era road course race. We had a track where you were not going to be super diminished in your ability to try and pass one another. We had enough cautions and therefore enough restarts to where things would get jumbled up and some passing would take place on those restarts. And we had 2 to 3 different strategies going on that created that risers and fallers dynamic I talk about. So you just throw all those things together and you go, all right, cool. Hey, it was a road course that didn't suck. I love it. Now we're going to Mid-Ohio. I think Mid-Ohio is going to be the biggest kind of moratorium on, is this something that works? We'll have to see. I feel good about where the hybrid's at coming into its 1-year anniversary. It hasn't improved the racing. That I feel really confident in saying. Not a single aspect of IndyCar competition has become better since those things went into the cars. They never went in to make the racing better, though. Only area where I would say quality of racing has been maintained without a doubt, instead of having the fluctuations that we've seen on road and street course quality. That's the short ovals. Ignore Iowa. Again, we know that was due to a new paving and tire hardness mismatch, but everywhere else, it was awesome. Gateway this year, WWTR, really good. So that's the one place where I can say, hey, this IndyCar racing is phenomenal. Oh, the hybrids came in, and I don't know if that's super phenomenal. Hey, let's start the new full season with them. And oh boy, these races aren't really that awesome. We're about to get into the part of the schedule here to close the season where we should have a pretty solid amount of awesome. Only concern, speaking with more drivers after last week's Iowa Speedway test, Connor Daly said he thought that it was better grip on the low lane and could make cars run a little bit closer there. Spoke with some others who said, I don't know if I'd agree with that. And I didn't catch up with them until a day or two after I wrote just the test article, but just got more feedback from some drivers who weren't convinced we were going to have an Iowa race that's drastically better than last year's, which was by far the worst racing of the year, if not in many years. So IndyCar still has time to make some tweaks to the technical package there. Going up on downforce is the generally recommended thing, but there's a concern that by doing that, it could start to overpower the vehicle and possibly bend and break things with just too much downforce. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but all that stuff aside, Shauna, I would say anxious might be a little bit too strong of a word, but I am indeed very curious to see how Mid-Ohio goes this weekend. If we have 3-4 cautions, quality of the race will probably be remembered as good for the same reasons as Road America. Multiple strategies, starts, restarts, etc., shuffling of things. Cool. That makes for good racing and fun things to remember. If it's a cleanish race and we do not have that, will we see drivers passing one another just on pure merit? We didn't see a lot of that to open the season on road courses, so that's why I can't wait to see what Mid-Ohio tells us. So, last thing, I don't know if anyone's going to be buying Harry the Hybrid a birthday cake this week, so it's here. The technology is staying for many years to come. Got to employ Juan Montoya. It is what it is. Lynn saying, what kind of wizards are on that Alex Palou 10-car team? Says, previous weekend at Road America, the 10 team ran following sequence for tires: black, red, black, and black. The rest of the field ran 3 reds and 1 black. This is freaking insane. See the 10 car to have this much speed on blacks for a red race. Also asks, will Scott Dixon win a race in the remaining 8 to extend his amazing record to 21 straight years with a win? Or will this be his famous quote, all good things come to an end? Yeah, I cannot fathom ending the season without at least one Scott Dixon victory. And as for Alex, yeah, he and Barry Wanzer, race strategist, they indeed were the only team, I believe, to do the entire race with a single set of reds of alternates being used. I believe everyone else used at minimum 2 sets. I'm looking here and I'm seeing David Malukas ran 5 sets, granted, between new and used, but he did a lot of pit stops, and yeah, there you go. Especially after going off on the first lap, but yeah, good old Alex Palou starts the race on new primaries, goes 11 laps on those. Same with Felix, Santino, Kirk. Then he runs his lone red stint alternates, lap 12 to 23. Sets his fastest lap, I think around lap 20 or so. And then, pits for another new set of primaries, uses those from lap 24 to lap 40. A nice long stretch there. And then pits and does his closing stint on new primaries, lap 41 through lap 55. And the car is handling extremely well when you can do that. And it's not as if others couldn't extend their new alternate sets there, Lynn. But would there be a slight lap time improvement? Very possibly, but they liked what they had and felt like they were going to stick with what they had. And I love it when we see things like that, where you go, not only did you win the race, but you went against the grain. How is that not super, super cool? How good is the team? I'd say they're pretty all right at motor racing. I feel like we can all agree. The number 10 Chip Ganassi Racing team, definitely all right. Had a fun, half hour, 40-minute call today with the GOAT of GOATs, the great man known as Mario Andretti. Interviewed him for ESPN column later this week, talking about young drivers, and wanted to get his thought as well, not just on the young drivers who are really standing out this year, doing impressive things and so on and so forth, but also just wanted to get his thoughts on that good old Alex Palou guy. And granted, he's 28, so he's still young-ish. Great quote from Mario. Rare talent, type of talent that comes in once every generation, every 20 years. Said he's at that level to compare with the Max Verstappen types. Right? This is Mario Andretti, okay? Nobody better. Just nobody better. And I realized that in the array of disciplines that Mario raced in, there were for sure others who were better in some of those categories. He won the Daytona 500. Is he the all-time greatest NASCAR driver? No. But just saying, across sports cars, Formula One, IndyCars, just everything that he raced. You look at his achievements across all of those disciplines, it's really simple and easy to say, greatest of all time. There's nobody who did better across all of those forms of racing than him. So, just saying, when Mario is talking about Alex Palou in those kinds of words, you understand Mario does not hand out false praise. Alex doesn't drive for his team. This isn't something where he's just saying flowery things because he's on the Andretti team. Nope, this is a rival. But Mario being Mario, he's going to speak honestly. So just appreciated all of that. He said some other things I'll put in the column there, but you look at what Alex is achieving. We do indeed need to appreciate what this guy is doing in 2025. And the fact that I don't know if we're going to see this again in a long time. If we do, and it's from him, like this guy, I don't even know, he's going to be verified alien, someone from outer space, because it makes no sense. But to look at what he's done so far, 6 out of 9 race wins, 2 poles, 3 fastest laps, led, I don't know what, 20-ish% of the laps this year. And there's a number of races where he's led no laps. But still has done all of those things, has led the championship every single minute of the season. The last time that happened, it was Scott Dixon in 2020. And that was remarkable to see Dixie do it from start to finish. Of course, this could change for Alex, but we're just past the halfway point of the season. This guy's led every minute of the championship. And is potentially on the way to his 4th championship in 6 seasons. It's just this kind of stuff where you go, huh? So that's him as an individual. Just to close here, this has been made possible by stepping into a team, not just Ganassi, but specifically his number 10 Honda, that has the kind of consistency that most drivers dream of. And there's some others who've had a engineering strategist, chief mechanic type composition that stays the same for a long, long time. And they've had a lot of success. Will Power comes to mind. And I realize that with the firings in May, there's been a change there in race strategist. Obviously, there's been a little bit of change with chief mechanic, but regardless, these are all folks that he knows, has worked with as race engineer. Dave Faustino, been with him forever. You look at Ben Bretzman, Scott McLaughlin, they've been together since day one, and that, or I should say, second season. But this is all pretty phenomenal stuff. Look at Joseph Newgarden. Definitely been some change there. I get that, but he's been in a great groove with his race engineer, Luke Mason, winning a couple Indy 500s. Change their crew chief, got that. Obviously, they've had a change of race strategist on all 3 cars, but there's been a lot of continuity on the Penske side. It's been a huge part of the sustained success that team has delivered, at least through 2024, and before some of these changes happen this year. You look at the Ganassi team, though, and you go, well, they are really just about the only team. And I guess I'd have to run through each individual entry to try and find one where there's been 0 changes similar to this. Maybe Pato and Will Anderson at Arrow McLaren. And I'm trying to think if and what changes have happened. Well, I know there's been a change there on strategist since Taylor Kyle left. But all that stuff aside, Lynn, we have Barry Wanzer as race strategist. There's been no change there other than the brief period where Barry was receiving cancer treatment and Mike O'Gara stepped in, but the championship was effectively salted away at that point. But you've got Barry as the team manager in that 10 car and his race strategist. There's been no change from the day Alex showed up. Ricky Davis is crew chief, same thing. Same high level excellence. Mechanical failures, other gremlins, like they just basically don't happen. And his race engineer, I mean, come on. Julian Robertson is as great a race engineer as you will ever find, has been that way for decades. Brian on the assistant side, just run down the list. There's so many phenomenal people who've been with that 10 car in the topmost positions, and even among crew as well. There's been a lot of consistency there. So think about that. Guy who comes in to a 10 car that had Felix Rosenqvist in it and loved Felix, wanted to win more. He left. We had Ed Jones in there for a year, and that didn't work out exactly, unfortunately. But good old Alex shows up in 2021 into a team that won one race the year before, I believe it was, with Felix. And all of a sudden, they win the championship together in their first season. Second season didn't. Came back, won in their third season together, fourth season together, and now they're rocking along and maybe going to win one in their fifth season together. It's just, yeah. Swap out a Julian Robertson, swap out a Ricky Davis, swap out a Barry Wanzer. I can't say if we'd be talking about Alex having 3 championships and having a fourth one seemingly within his grasp. So, cannot understate how much that has played a role in his ascension to everything that Mario said about him. And I'll throw in one other quick thing about Alex just to process. I'm writing about this as well, this being for Racer. Alex is known as the quick driver for sure. Very smart, very cerebral, but also safe, conservative, right? Was not going to risk the car, risk himself. If he's running third, great. He'll take third place points. Running second, he's going to take second. He is not going to risk throwing away those points, trying to go for a gap to get the win. With 3 titles in hand, that guy's come into his 2025 season with a very different mindset. We now have a guy who's willing to take risks. A guy who's willing to roughhouse a bit. Come back with the car with some scraped up bodywork and some, you don't really dent carbon fiber, but with some dents. This is a guy who could be faster and is faster. He's improved his average qualifying position from last year, which was a very good 6.8. It's now, I think, 4.3. He's improved his average qualifying position 2.5 positions. Only has 2 poles this year, only 2 out of 9. But just saying, this is a guy who, using this calculated, somewhat safe, points first approach, risk averse approach, come into this year and said, hey man, I'm a 3-time champ. I could keep doing this and probably win who knows how many more. Let's uncork things a little bit. And this is now the guy chasing people down. Again, he's had some really good qualifying runs, but he's also had some cars to pass. And faced with the same scenarios we've seen in recent years where you go, okay, hey, it's going to be another great points day for Alex. He's just going to kill him with consistency, take that third place, maybe fourth, fifth, whatever. But hey, he's going to win in the long run. The guy who showed up this year, it's not total DGAF by no means, but this is a guy who's saying, nah, man, faced with that same thing, he's going for second. He's going for first. I wanted to say he's going the distance, but love it. That's the thing. That's been the gift from Alex for real fans. Real meaning like, hey, you really love to get into the minutia and see what's what and why things are different or how. This is a guy who is letting loose. This is a guy who's accustomed to buttoning his shirt all the way up to the top button, who this year, he's undoing the top button or 2 and letting it flow a little bit looser, a little more willing to take risks and leave his car and other cars with some scraped paint in ways that we did not see before. Coincidence? The guy is on an all-time streak with those 9 races and 6 wins, including the Indy 500. I don't believe that is a coincidence at all. I think this is a byproduct of him going, all right, let's get our hands a little bit dirty. Let's play like everyone else does, not totally surrender. He's going to collect really good points when he knows Kyle Kirkwood at Long Beach, gone. Nothing he could do. Wasn't going to crack that code. Cool. Finished P2. Terrible event at Gateway. Nothing there. Salvaged in 8th place when it was looking like he was going to be 15th, but still hauled that thing up to 8th. That might not sound like much. That's his second worst finish of the year. The only other finish that was worse was when he was taken out at Detroit, but he still knows how to do the get points if it ain't happening. But if he thinks there's a chance, yeah, this is where the 2025 version of Palou, oh yeah, this is some serious fun. Derek Patai is considering the losses at Team Penske. Who do you think they might poach from other teams to turn things around? As I'm looking at things, Derek, the things they need are leadership. The thing they need is leadership and managerial infrastructure. They have the talent with their 3 drivers and their race engineers and assistant engineers, support engineers, mechanics. They have all the talent needed to win this weekend at Mid-Ohio and win every other race this year. Legitimately, Team Penske could go 8 for 8 and it wouldn't come as a surprise because they have the outrageous talent within the cockpits of those cars and the people running those cars to do it. Where things have gone weird is in the unfortunate shuffle of things in May. If you did not know that there had been a huge managerial change, firings, and just simply looked like you just learned IndyCar existed today and said, let me go and look at the championship and see how things are going, and looked at the 3 drivers. Newgarden's had a brutal year. He finished on the podium to start the year. That's the only podium he's had. And things have just been generally miserable for him. So I discount any of the real bad stuff that's happened since then. But if you look at, he's 17th in the championship. Season's over. But if I look at those who are still in the general frame, Will Power sitting P7 right now, Scott McLaughlin's P8. Here's their first 5 races, pre-Indy 500. Power got taken out at the opening race, first lap, again, not his fault, so he's 26th, but follow-up race there when the season really got started, 6th place, huge rallying drive, 6th place, 5th, and then 3rd at the Indy GP. You look at McLaughlin, 4th to open the year at St. Pete. The hybrid issues and whatnot at Thermal, he, at the second race, finishes 27th and last, basically. So within the first 2 races, Power had basically a dead last finish, and Scotty had a dead last finish. But looking here at Scotty, though, opened the season with a 4th, had that forgettable Thermal race, finished 6th at Long Beach, 3rd at Barber, 4th at the Indy GP. Just saying, if you ignore those 2 terrible finishes, not their fault. Power and McLaughlin open the year with finishes of 6th, 5th, and 3rd, and then 4th, 6th, 3rd, and 4th. Not wins, I get that, but basically they are locked into the top 6 and on the podium or super close. Then you look at their seasons since everything went crazy at Indianapolis, and it's 16th place for Will. Had a good Detroit, right? Recovered there, finished 4th. Then it's 27th at Gateway, like just, again, a weird thing, tire failure. And then 14th at Road America, which was probably the least polished event of the year for the team. You look at McLaughlin, crashes on the parade lap, right, at Indy, finishes 30th. First driver to crash, obviously had the penalties after the race, folks who got moved behind him, but 30th effectively lasted Indy. 12th at Detroit, not good there, obviously. The Nolan Siegel hit and then the penalty and blah, blah, blah. 24th at Gateway, right? Just miserable again. And then 12th at Road America. He and Will and Joseph and just, this was not good. But basically, the first 5 races of the year for Will and Scott are effectively top 6, 5, 4, 3, doing well. Since then, 16th. That 1/4 is the only salvageable thing for him. But for Will, effectively 16th, 27th, and 14th. For Scott, 30th, 12th, 24th, and 12th. It would give anybody the impression that I don't know what happened, but something drastic has changed from the Indy 500 on. And close on this with this question here. Of the things that I hear, we're dealing with an overloading of the race engineers who've effectively become the senior most people on the IndyCar side, who are handling all kinds of things, managerially, as well as the jobs they already have, which is the R&D side, looking after the whole tech side, preparing for the races, coming up with great ideas, coming up with setup changes, etc. Race strategy is something that some of them are doing. It's an overtaxing of the folks who you really want to isolate and say, nope, just focus on making the race cars go fast so we can win races. You look at the results since from the 500 on, and some of them, again, are just cartoon anvil, bad luck. Gateway was brutal for everybody. Road America was just a lot of self-inflicted wounds, but it comes across like, boy, we sure need dad. And Tim Cindric was that dad. Ron Rzuski was that dad. It has the feeling of the very fine folks who are left to look after a lot of things, administrative, travel, laundry, catering. You go, shouldn't they just be focusing on the race? No, they're picking up a lot of slack. I think we're seeing the weight of that start to take away from the team's traditional extreme focus and cohesive efficiency and results. So, excuse me, that's what it comes across like from the outside. As for who do they hire, what do they do? Jonathan Duguid, who runs the Porsche Penske Motorsport program, of the folks who are in-house, he stands out as, to me, if you were going to put somebody in charge of the Penske IndyCar program, as former race-winning, super everything-winning race engineer there, obviously won the Indy 500, filling in last year on Joseph's car. He just stands out as somebody who is perfect for it, because what he has done in building up and running the factory Porsche IMSA GTP program for Porsche and Roger Penske has been phenomenal. Would you take him away from that, though, to run the IndyCar program without possibly destabilizing the IMSA effort and global effort running in the WEC as well? Boy, yeah, that seems like a lot. Travis Law, Joseph's former crew chief, the sheriff there, he's the number 2 in command. I mean, I don't know how long the Porsche Penske Motorsport factory effort is meant to run. And just tell you that if there were to be news that it was going away, for example, well, boom, you've got all the infrastructure, senior most leadership in North Carolina, that can just simply walk over and do what is needed on the IndyCar side. If that program continues for years to come, I'll be honest, I don't know exactly where they look. And you could say, well, hey, what about Simon Pagenaud? Love Simon. Simon's not going to take on running a 3-car IndyCar program. Got way too much else to do in life, and he just doesn't want that amount of work. Great consultant, great possibility. Gavin Ward's another person who had questions of, hey, he used to be there, and did they leave in bad terms? Yeah, he did, but Gavin never went to Aaron McLaren with the intent of running the team. He was asked to do it because basically everyone else there wasn't anymore. And it wasn't what he wanted. It wasn't what the team wanted. They parted ways. Him returning to Team Penske to then be in a running the whole thing capacity, I just can't see it from a personal happiness standpoint, from a professional happiness standpoint. I think Gav would be better suited on the technical side, and to my knowledge, there's no needs there for Team Penske. The only person I can think of, I shouldn't say the only, but the one I should say I can think of who I've heard others say, I think at some point in time he's going to be running Team Penske, is Ben Bretzman. And I don't know if he wants to, but I can say that Benny is smart enough, organized enough, beloved enough. I do indeed think he would be just wonderful at doing that. In my head, it was 5 to 10 years from now. Is that something he'd want to do this moment? Is that something the team would want him to do? I don't know. One of the instant first ballot race engineering Hall of Famers. He comes to mind as maybe the only person I can think of to go straight into that role and to take it to a place where we are very familiar with it being. How much more time do we have left? Not much. Let me take a look through the last questions here. Mike Jablow asking about the unfortunate passing of Miss Marlene Sexton. Is that sponsorship in jeopardy for 2026? To be determined. Something the team needs to discuss with them. Ed Joris wondering if anybody within Rogers' circle of trust, saying that's a Meet the Parents movie reference. Thank you. Would there be anybody within Rogers' circle of trust capable of successfully running Team Penske IndyCar? Not that I can think of. There are folks who've looked after portions of it, done aspects within, right? You got a lot of departments, a lot of things, but nobody I can think of who is capable of running that team, who is a true racer. Good business minds, some folks who could do some aspects, but although you have many important department heads, a successful racing team is not run by committee. It is run by a person with vision who executes that vision. And with the right people in place to help that vision come to life and be realized, that is where success has the potential of happening. But no, I can't think of anybody within Penske Entertainment, Rogers' circle of trust, who, again, unless I'm forgetting somebody, should be put into that kind of role. Jeremy Davis, you asked about Gavin Ward, covered that off a little bit. Did speak with a team principal today. We're talking, how's this? I know Gavin is certainly being courted by folks, but yeah, I think it would be more along the technical lines. Zach Burcham, how's the progress on the return of LED panels? You know what? I need to ask, actually. I haven't done that for a while, so I apologize there. Let me bounce around here. Has Honda agreed to provide engines for the gap year in 2027? Well, I feel like we would have read about that if that agreement had taken place, Ed. So I'll go out on a limb and say no. Keith Lee says, I just watched F1 the movie. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't let myself nitpick the various inaccuracies, and I thought it was a fun movie. Says, if a new IndyCar movie was being developed, it had to be based on true events, what great IndyCar story would you recommend to be told on the big screen? There's someone who sent in an idea. It's in this week's Racer mailbag that goes up on Wednesday. And I don't want to give all that away because it's just such truly like a brilliant idea, and then also some really well thought out aspects included in it. But the Brat Pack, Dario, Tony Kanaan, Greg Moore, Pappas, PT, a couple others who were in and around or floated around that, but that really stood out as something pretty amazing. I think Dan Weldon's life certainly could be a rather amazing cinematic thing. Alex Zanardi comes to mind as well, for all that, for where he came from, what happened, what took place. I think 1994 Indianapolis 500, The Beast, Penske, Ilmore, Mercedes-Benz. I think that's a amazing yarn. I think if you were to also look at starting that off with 1995 and the problems that Penske had, there's some rich stuff in here. And boy, yeah, there's a lot more. Harry Miller, the life of Harry Miller, I am convinced must absolutely become a story. I mean, Jimmy Murphy, the life of Jimmy Murphy, winning the first American to win a Grand Prix, European Grand Prix, I should say, and the Indy 500. I know it's not specific IndyCar, it's an element of IndyCar, but you think of what Dan Gurney accomplished, finishing second at the Indy 500 in 1967, then going, so that's May, end of May, we go into June, wins, becomes the first American to win a Grand Prix in a car of his own manufacture, designed with Len Terry, but engine chassis, right? Eagle, Spa, Belgium, and win the 24 Hours of Le Mans as well with AJ Foyt, Ford, GT4, like, huh? When finishing second at the Indy 500 is the low light in this 3-4 week span. Like, what? Boy, that sure seems like an amazing, true story, but told in a Hollywood or cinematic fashion. Probably go on here for a good while, but yeah, I don't think there'd be a lack of ideas for sure. Casey Kirkstra says, with the new car and engine, it seems like car design is ahead of the engine formula. In your opinion, is this correct? Which should be done first, or is this a chicken versus the egg argument? And then kindly says, always prayers for you and your wife. Thank you, Casey. That's sweet of you. The plan all along has been for the current silhouette. If you were to take the existing 2.2 liter twin turbo V6 engine being made by Chevy and Honda and place it on its nose, basically lift it up and put it on the ground on a piece of cardboard or on a piece of whatever. So the front of the engine is face down, and took a Sharpie and traced the front of it. That is effectively what IndyCar is planned to be the silhouette or what the next engine will mount to. That was the regulations drawn up for the 2.4 liter engines that got killed. Now they're coming back. That was, hey, there'd be some dimensional differences, but it all needs to bolt into the same place on the tub, because those things would be going into the DW12. I could be wrong. I believe we're looking at the 2028 engine being something that effectively does the same thing. So I believe that's just been the intent from the outset. How long it is it identical to what the 2.4 liter formula called for when that came out in whatever it was, 2018, 2019? I don't know. But I think it's going to fall into something super close. So what you get is a motor, even though the specs hadn't been done, where they said, well, going to bolt into the same location, so we'll put the mounting points the same place on the new tub. And for whatever the bell housing is behind it, we will have similar, if not identical, mounting points there as well. So not a big deal at all with them knowing that that's whatever the formula would be, would have to conform to those mounting locations. Justin Collins, we finally have IndyCar playable on a video game console with the latest Forza Motorsport update, but there is not a single mention of it by the series or even a driver that I have seen. Is this possibly due to another game pending an announcement? I don't know. Someone who has not done gaming for a long time, I don't stay on top of this. I'm sure I'm totally off, but do we know IndyCar knows that this is in the latest Forza update? I'll try and remember to ask Justin. Where do we go from here? You know what? That's it. And yeah, Lalo, you're asking about 2026 schedule updates, but we kind of covered off a little bit of that up front. Austin Merrill, you're also saying happy birthday to my lovely bride, and asking the same bit about Toyota and Arlington. Does that mean they're third manufacturer? Yes, we're verifying it here. They're also the fourth, because they are going to bring Lexus. And then they're going to bring back Scion. So that's the fifth manufacturer. Obviously, I'm having a little bit of fun here. I'm just going to, again, keep crossing fingers, toes, and everything else, and hope that Toyota, which was close 3-4 years ago, may indeed decide to come in. But if they don't, and it just turns out that it's a cool thing that's happening, and this is also in Toyota's North American home state and not too far from the track, that also wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. All right, y'all, thanks for everything you sent in. We'll look forward to huddling up here early next week after Mid-Ohio. Will Honda's streak extend to 11 in a row since Nashville next year? Will Chevy break that streak? If Honda does win at their home state manufacturing plant event, will it be Palou or Kirkwood, or could it, good Lord, be a different Honda powered driver? Yeah, like, I'm legitimately excited to see what comes out of this weekend, and no result, at least in my head, is a bad result. The streak being broken, cool. Can Chevy go on a streak? Streaks are fun. Who, if Chevy does have a winner, will be that winner? Pato won last year. First hybrid race winner in IndyCar. Could he become the first back-to-back winner at Mid-Ohio in hybrid configuration? I don't know. Seems like he's capable. Could Lundgaard be the first to win for that? I don't know. We already spoke about the fact that the Penske drivers could certainly win every single race here going forward. Yeah, I don't know what's coming. Colton Herta, man, he's had a poopy year. He seems like he could win pretty much anywhere they go. Marcus Ericsson, that guy needs, I mean, we love ourselves some Marcus Ericsson. He needs to have a great result just for his own mental health. What about Fro? Fourth in the championship. Could Meyer Shank home state race? Good old Mike Shank from Gahanna, Ohio. He could win for sure. anyways, we are not dealing with a shortage of drivers who could do significant things. So, and for that, I'm thankful. So, thanks again to y'all, to the Justice Brothers, to TorontoMotorsports.com. And if you get a chance, check out thepruittstore.com and see if there's anything there you'd like me to package up and send your way. I'll speak to y'all here next week.